The gut microbiome. What is it? What does it do? And what foods keep it healthy? We're going to start with the big picture. Now, as you can see on here, you've got the outline of a human body. And as you can see here, the gastrointestinal tract, also known as the digestive tract or alimentary canal, is the pathway by which food enters the body and solid waste is expelled. So this again is the big picture. We haven't got to the gut microbiome just yet. But essentially, this is where it enters. This is as it comes through into the stomach, small intestine, does a bit of wiggling around here, large intestine, and then it exits the body. So that's known as the gastrointestinal tract. Now, within that, we have the small intestine and the large intestine. So the small intestine is this sort of central bit here, and you've got the large intestine which fits around the outside of it. Now, this is what we talk about when we talk about the gut microbiome. So what we are now going to do is we're now going to sort of drill down in, we're going to magnify what the sort of the small intestine and the large intestine look like from the inside, if you will. Living inside every person are trillions of microorganisms, and this can be in the form of bacteria, viruses, fungi, and other life forms. This is collectively known as what we're talking about as the microbiome. Now, we're zeroing in, as I mentioned, on the small intestine and the large intestine or the colon. Now, there are different parts to this. Now, with regards to the small intestine and the large intestine, this is where food is absorbed from the inside of the small intestine and the large intestine into the body. The small intestine is where it happens first, and then the large intestine is where it happens second, or where remaining anything that's left then can be moved into the body. So, what we've got are these sort of finger-like projections that line all the way along the small intestine. Now, as the diagram shows, this bit here is the large intestine, this bit is the small intestine. So these finger-like projections, as you can see here, are known as villi. Now, these create a larger surface area, which allows more nutrients or more food or more fluid to be absorbed from the inside of the small intestine into the body. And if we were to drill down even further, there are certain different cells that do certain different things. There are blood vessels within them, so on and so forth. So it would take it from the blood up into the liver to be sort of detoxified to some degree, and then it would enter circulation into the body. But what we want to be looking at is you've got this mucosal sort of barrier that goes around the outside of all of that, and then you've got this, which again is sort of another added part to it, known as the lumen. Now, this is where all of the, and you can see here, gut microbiome. So this is where we're going to find these bacteria, these viruses, these fungi, and these other life forms. So these are the, let's just say the good and bad, this is how most people might know it, the good and the bad bacteria. So when we're talking about the gut microbiome, this is where they're living. So they're living on the, let's just say on the surface of the small and the large intestine. Now, the gut microbiome does many different things within the body. If we've got a healthy gut microbiome, we are going to have a much healthier body. So what we're going to do in the next slide is talk a little bit more about what those benefits are and one of the foods that can help promote this healthy gut microbiome. What does the gut microbiome do? And as I've mentioned, there are many benefits to it. So as you can see here, it regulates the immune system. So a lot of the B's and the B cells and the T cells, which are a part of our immune system, will be generated there, and then they will go to the various area of the body where they are required. So they are in some respects generated within the gut microbiome. So if we've got a healthy gut microbiome, we're going to have a much more optimally functioning immune system. They will synthesize vitamin or some vitamins. They will consume fiber, which we're going to talk a little bit more about in a second, as you may well be able to see. Extract energy from food, and the healthier it is, the more energy that it will extract, the better the food is chewed, the more they will be able to extract. So there are steps that we can take before it even gets to the gut microbiome, which is essentially chewing our food. And what chewing our food also does, it can open up the airwaves, which is we can go off on a slight tangent there, but it can open up airways, it can create better bone density through the jaw. So again, chewing the food is another essential part. So a lot of this processed food, which is quite soft, and the juicing and the smoothie sort of revolution that's gone on, not that I'm saying don't do it, but we still need to be able to chew our food, because if we don't, we start to lose the airway that we are creating. So that can increase, let's just say, ill health, or our chances of ill health. But I'm going slightly off topic. And it can also influence hunger signals as well. So what foods keep it healthy? Well, there are more than I'm going to describe here. I am just going to be focusing on fiber, because fiber is known as what's called a prebiotic. Now, we all know probiotics. So, I've mentioned the good and the bad bacteria. So, probiotics essentially are those bacteria. So, if you are deficient in bacteria because you've had a poor diet, then probiotics can be useful, because your body is hasn't got them or doesn't have as much of them, so putting them in is going to be useful. But one thing with good and bad bacteria is we want them in the right balance. Now, the amazing thing about the body is when it's healthy, it has them in the right balance. It knows what to do. So what we have to do is we have to feed the good bacteria. And we feed the good bacteria with prebiotics, which are fibrous foods. And as you can see on the screen here, sort of the highest fibrous foods are your peas, lentils, beans. So they are the highest sort of fiber foods. So these are the foods we want to be taking in. Now, we want to be getting 25 grams of fiber per day. Now, that doesn't mean 25 grams of peas or 25 grams of beans, because if you have 100 grams of peas or beans, you may only be getting, let's just say, 7, 8, 10 grams of fiber per day. So we need to be able to get the right amount of fibers in. Now, again, we can get fiber from different foods. We can keep our gut healthy from other foods. So it's not just, this is just one food that I'm talking about. So as we mentioned here, plant fiber that the body can't digest and encourages the growth of the good bacteria. So as I mentioned, it's consuming these prebiotics, which is feeding and fueling the good bacteria, which is helping them stay in the right balance with the bad bacteria. So these good bacteria turn these fibers into chemicals like butyrate that has been shown to have an anti-inflammatory effect on the bowel. So again, it's keeping that healthy, it's keeping that strong, and it's keeping it in the right balance, because what we need to think about with regards to good and bad bacteria, we want them in the right proportions and the right balance. We don't want all good and no bad, because that's ill health again. If we've got all good and no bad, again, that's ill health. We want them in the right balance. And then we've got other foods such as oats, apples, bananas, garlic, but again, we're not going to be eating 100 grams of garlic, but these are foods to be including. So we are looking at plant foods because it's got that plant fiber in it. We just need higher fiber foods. And as I've mentioned, we've got the peas, the beans, the lentils that do that. And we've also got other foods, which again are everyday foods: oats, apples, bananas, and garlic and things like that. So hopefully that's giving you a good introduction, not only to the gut microbiome, what it does, and what it is, what it does, but also some foods that you can start thinking about that can start to bring you better health for it.